Start with this on button A plus B, and we want to just have it establish a random number for us. We don't know what it is, though. I like to have my code start off with just a symbol so that I know it is running. So we're going to start off with a smiley face. So when A and B is pressed, I know I've initialized the game. And we want the game to pick a random number for us. We have to store that value. So I'm going to create a variable and call it number. So I want to set this number to be a random number. I either want it to be 1 or 2. So I'm going to pick a random number value from the math box. So now when I press A plus B, I'll get the smiley face, and it's going to pick a random number, 1 or 2. Now I need to have a way for me to input what my value is. So I'm going to go to input. And I want it to be that when I press button A, I'm guessing that that random number is going to be 1. But I need to have a way to define what my guess is. So I'm going to create a second variable called guess. And if I press A, I want my guess to be a value of 1. Now I need to check. I need to check to see if my guess is equal to what the number is. So I need an if-then statement. So if my guess is equal to my number, I did it. Now, we're going to make use of what are called the game blocks, and they are going to help us keep score. So I want to be able to know that if my guess is equal to the random number that was picked, then I should be able to get +1 for my score. I need to scroll down here. You may have your advanced blocks collapsed. You'll have to select this little drop-down arrow. You may have to scroll down, and there are your game blocks. Your game blocks have a lot of things called a sprite. Work on that in a different tutorial. Go ahead and scroll down. Okay, so here we have some values for our set score, game, change score, etc. So one of the first things I need to do when we start a game, the game needs to start at 0. So I'm going to bring the set score out, and I'm going to put it in my start block. So on start, my score should be equal to 0. Now I want it to be that when my guess is equal to that number value, I want my score to get bigger. So if my guess equals the random number that was picked, my score goes up by 1. Else, it should go down by 1. So I'm going to duplicate this, change it to -1. Now I want to be able to know what my score is. So I'm going to do some showing some numbers here. I'm actually going to put a show number at the very beginning because I want to see what the random number was. So I'm going to bring in my number. So the first thing it's going to do, I'm going to press A. And when I press A, I'm committing. I'm saying, I think it's going to be number 1. It's going to show me what that value is. It's going to compare it to the number and tell me if I should increase my score or not. I want to be able to see what my score is. Show number. And I want to see what the score is. Now, I didn't create a variable score. Like if I look at my variables, there's no score here. The score is in the game block. So scroll down here. Here are your game blocks. Scroll down. Right there. There it is. I find it helps put a little bit of a delay in here. Otherwise, it flashes really quickly. So I'm going to put just 100 millisecond delay there. And that is what's going to happen when I press A. When I press A, I'm guessing that my random number was 1. If I'm right, my score goes up by 1. If I'm wrong, it goes down by 1. I want to duplicate this because I want to be able to pick 2 if I think it's 2. So right now it's grayed out because we can't have 2 on button A's. But if I switch this to B, there we go. Now, pressing button B is going to mean I'm guessing that number to be 2. So that's the code. I can scroll out a little bit so you can see it a little bit better. When I start, score 0. When I press A plus B, it's going to pick the random number. Then I have the ability to press A if I think it's number 1 and B if I think it's number 2, and it should give me a score. So let's look at it on the simulator. Okay, pressing A plus B should initialize my game. There's my smiley face. So the code has picked either 1 or 2. I'm going to guess it's number 1. Oh, and it was number 1. Woohoo! I got a score of 1. Let's play again. A plus B. Okay, I'm going to guess 1 again. Oh, it was 2 that time. Oh, I'm down to 0. Play again. I'm gonna pick B. Oh, it was 1. 0. So here's a 1 kind of limitation. You can't have a negative score. The lowest you can get is 0. But hopefully you have an idea of how you can use the game blocks to keep score.